Welcome to the Run to Remember Challenges Coaches Box. I'm Amanda Reeves, Operations Manager here at Hands Across the Water, your host. Today I'm joined by Andrew Scown, a highly experienced podiatrist and the founder of the Foot Group. Andrew has received an award for excellence in diagnosis and orthotic design and shares today with us decades of expertise in sports podiatry, biomechanics, and footwear solutions. Andrew is here to share his wisdom on keeping our feet healthy and strong during this incredible challenge. So let's take Andrew's advice to heart. Your feet will thank you. Okay, hi. Hi, Andrew. Thanks for joining us today.
Hi, Amanda. Pleasure to be here. Thanks for asking me.
Absolutely. Now, I'd like to start off today's chat with, if you can share with me a little bit about your really impressive career history in podiatry. What brought you into podiatry? What interested you, and what's kept you passionate the last 30 years?
Interesting. There was a climber on Mount Cook in New Zealand years ago. I grew up in New Zealand, and he got stuck on the mountain and he lost his legs. So I was at school then, and I thought that would be fantastic to be able to be involved in helping this guy make new legs. So I wanted to do orthotics and prosthetics, but they closed the course in New Zealand. So I did the next best thing, which is podiatry. And so I ended up being more interested in orthotic therapy and gait analysis and human movement. And just built on it from there. And now that I've been a podiatrist for a long time, one of the things that's kept me going is treating kids. I love treating kids. There's lots of kids who just want to exercise, just want to move. They get an injury or a pain, and we often have solutions that are quite simple that can help them get back to their passion and keep fit, keep happy.
Absolutely.
So that's
That's
what
what it's
drives me.
all about, isn't it? It's really just
Mm,
about getting out there and giving things a go at all ages.
exactly.
As a mother of a very active 4.5-year-old boy, we definitely understand the importance of keeping them on their feet and active.
Exactly. Keep the energy flowing.
Absolutely. And now with Hands Across the Waters and our founder, Peter Bain's Run to Remember, it goes through all ages. And Pete is competing, or not competing is the right word, is completing a 1,400-kilometre run through Thailand over 26 days. Now, that's going to be pretty demanding on his feet. It's a
It
long
is.
time in the heat. There's a lot of humidity happening. From a sports podiatrist, what are your key tips on feet prep for him?
Okay, so I look at it as different components. So obviously you've got skin. We've got to keep the skin healthy. He really needs to start with feet that have got skin that's going to be protective. So you don't want to take all the callus off if there's callus there, but if there's excessive callus, you want to make sure that's looked after and maintained. So healthy skin on his feet is a start. We want to make sure that his intrinsic and extrinsic foot muscles are all functioning at their optimum. If there are any issues biomechanically that may create a potential issue for an injury during the run, or even mean that he has to pull out, we want to make sure those are all covered beforehand. So really healthy, strong feet, biomechanically appropriate movement pathways, and all of that we can do with assessments, biomechanical assessments, choice of footwear, choice of socks, and a choice of blister prevention strategies that are going to work for Peter.
Yeah,
In that environment.
Absolutely interesting. You mentioned the biomechanics. I've seen that technology has played a really big part in podiatry. Can you share a bit about what the biometric technology is? What does an assessment involve, and what sort of the benefits of completing one of those?
Okay, it's really just I guess it's a big word. We just look at the way the foot leg mechanics are working. So how does the foot hit the ground? What happens when full body weight's on that foot, and when the foot's going into propulsion and you're pushing off? Is it in as efficient alignment and movement pathways and load as you can get. So our biomechanical assessment involves looking at the patient statically, looking at them dynamically, which obviously is obviously non-weight bearing is static. Dynamic is when they're getting up on their feet, standing still, doing calf raises, doing different exercises that we can watch the foot and make sure it's doing the right thing or as close to it as we can. And then we'll move on to the gait analysis, which we use a system that has about 7,000 sensors under the belt of the treadmill that measures every step, and it can give us a really good idea of how efficient that person's moving and what we need to do to help them move more efficiently, whether that's strength and stability, footwear, orthotics. There's a whole lot of things we can do. And in some cases, we need to do all of that.
Yeah, absolutely. It's really that holistic approach, isn't it, of looking at it from all angles. And you touched on as well footwear. Now, he has been sponsored by Hoka, and he does have a variety of shoes available to him in different sizes. My understanding that when you do this really long endurance stuff, that your feet swell quite significantly, and you'll need to factor that in.
They will.
Is there anything else that you can share in regards to footwear and what's really important and tips that people should look out for, even if it's starting for the first time and, doing that first run around the block or doing the really big endurance stuff? Does cost play a factor? Is the style a factor or brand, or what should we be looking for?
Maybe I'm lucky being in my position, but I don't feel that cost is that much of a factor in running because shoes, a good running shoe isn't necessarily that expensive. You'll be paying somewhere between $200 and $300. You don't need to be getting racing shoes that are, $300-400. There's plenty of shoes in that range that are fantastic. And the key things that I like in a shoe, and people often ask, which is the best shoe? Now, that depends on the person. Depends on the foot shape, depends on what they're doing, the terrain. It's good that he's sponsored by Hoka because they're a protective, supportive shoe. So I think that for his sort of endurance run, which is that about 60 kilometers a day? That's a lot.
It's a lot.
That's more than I could do. So
it's way more than we can do, which is why we've done the challenges a little bit more achievable at 20Ks through the 26 days, or you can create some teams to do the 1400 with him. But I don't know. There's not a lot that can do the 60 kilometers every day
in the heat and humidity of Thailand.
Exactly.
So that brings me to width. You can get different widths in shoes. So he'll probably need to obviously get the perfect fit for him. Then he'll need to get some shoes that he's able to wear after his feet have swollen that are wider and maybe larger, or likely larger as well. So there's perfect fit, wider and longer. So, and whether that's Hoka or whether that's ASICS, or I guess it depends on who's sponsoring, but I'd be really happy with Hoka for any endurance run because they're tried and tested, and a lot of the ultramarathon runners are wearing them and getting great results.
Yeah, amazing. And you touched on socks as well. Is there a particular sock that you should be looking for?
Excuse me. Socks are definitely one of my passions. I'm a big fan of merino wool. So fine merino wool socks, natural fibers. They're known to be moisture wicking. So they're going to pull the moisture away from the skin to try and help that be as healthy as possible and less macerated within the or full of moisture within the shoe. So there's a variety of brands that you could go for, but a good quality merino wool running sock. There are brands that are dual layer socks that might be worth looking at as well. And I think it comes down to running in the shoes and the socks,
Mm.
and trying to get Peter or whoever's doing the run to work out what works for them and then build on that. So I think you've got to have some sort of a strategy, but socks are really key in blister prevention and comfort within the shoe.
Yeah, I've seen a lot of the crazy challenges that people have done in these endurance races or runs that they've done, and photos of their feet post run, and it's not pretty.
And they're not pretty.
It's not pretty. So how, I think a lot of expected damage will be done with that amount of time on your feet for that amount of
Yeah.
time. But what are the tips for preventing blisters other than the footwear and the socks? Is there anything else that people should be factoring in when we're doing big challenges or consistently running in regards to blister prevention? And once he's finished the run, how does he then repair and heal his feet?
Obviously socks, footwear, we've talked about those. Time on your feet in the shoes and is a key blister prevention strategy to get that skin used to that sort of level of pressure, friction, shear, and load. So it's definitely time. Now there will be hot spots, or hopefully he's lucky and there are no hot spots, but likely that there will be hot spots somewhere. So if there's a hot spot, you've got to then work out whether you're going to come up with a strategy that's taping and protective, or are you going to get away with the lubrication so that you can increase the shear to allow that skin to move and the fibers within the skin layers aren't being torn and then create a blister. So I used to be mainly a big fan of taping, and we use a very thin tape that just takes away the shear. The problem is some people do need the lubricant. So there's the lubricant team and there's the taping team, and I think there's time for both. So,
Yeah.
but you can't if you're going to do the lubricant, then you can't do the taping because tape's not going to stick. So that's why I tend to start with taping, and there's a variety of methods of taping to prevent blisters either on the toes or on different hotspot areas within the foot.
Yeah, sure. And then when he finishes the race, is it the best method is time off his feet, let them breathe, let them heal?
Ice, cold water, anti-inflammatories if he needs them. Hopefully he's got someone there who can help him, a podiatrist. It's one of those things where it's really just time and recovery, and you'd be surprised how quick skin recovers after a beating like that.
Yeah. The human body is pretty impressive, isn't it?
Pretty impressive. Now, can I touch back to the biomechanics and everything?
Absolutely.
So obviously I'm talking about load, and we're trying to decrease the load on each foot during each footstep during the run. So it's not just about podiatry, it's about the team. He's obviously got probably physiotherapist, and he must have a running coach. It's about creating an environment within his body where his feet are going to function as efficiently as possible, and a lot of that comes from above the feet. So, in the pelvis and in the legs, to help reduce the load and help prevent the risk of injuries and blisters. So even though you might think skin blisters, it's actually load and running style and efficiency. So I don't give people advice. I give people advice on foot mechanics, foot and lower limb mechanics, and how we can improve on that. I don't give running specific advice on how you should run. I would involve a specialist in that area.
Yeah,
Good
absolutely.
running coach.
Pete does have a good running coach, Matty Abel, on his side, who's been training him through this experience, and I think it's really key, the injury prevention piece. I think and looking at that holistically. What do you really see with beginners and common mistakes of people who are starting out and doing these really big community runs or great initiatives that are getting people fit and active, but is it common mistakes that people make and causing themselves injuries?
I think a lot of the time it's building up to the distance that the event needs. So if you're not a runner, you haven't run, but you want to run, and you decide, okay, I'm going to run 5K, you're likely to get injured and not finish because your body's not used to that way of movement. So I think just gradually, slowly increasing the running, depending on the level you're at, getting a running coach involved to give you some tips, joining like a park run where you can get experts who can help you. From a podiatry point of view, definitely investing in some decent shoes that are supportive and protective and that you feel good in. So when we were speaking about shoes earlier, I meant to say the shoe has to be super comfortable. So when you try it in the shop, it should you should try about 10 pairs or more and just get the one that you feels the best and feels the most stable without feeling like a brick on your foot.
Yeah, I think that's a common mistake that I've made in the past. I've gone for looks rather than comfort.
Mm,
And all of a sudden, that first active experience, you're like, oh, my arches are a bit achy and
that's
probably
it.
didn't get the best, most supportive shoe.
Yeah,
And looks is not always the answer, but they have to look good and make you feel good. So I love the advice of trying 10 pairs on.
exactly. And when we say supportive, there's plenty of shoes in the cushioning and more lightweight range that are supportive for the right person. So you don't just go into the supportive range that you can see in the retail shop. Some of those are going to be too heavy, so
Mm.
you don't want a heavy shoe that's weighing you down, but you do want that shoe, whatever it is that you choose, to suit the foot shape and mechanics and movement pathways.
Yeah, I think that's a really beautiful way of where we've come now is footwear has become a lot more casual and the
Mm,
comfort factor is definitely up there and the heels are less frequent these days. So there's a lot more
yeah,
variety and looks and things and actually supporting our feet, which is nice.
exactly, exactly.
Now, we hope to engage a lot of people in this challenge. Not everyone can run 1,400 kilometres like Pete's done, and we're all so supportive of what he's doing. And we invite everybody to get behind him and doing whatever they can, whether that's participating in our Run to Remember challenge, whether that's sponsoring Pete's kilometres. You can sponsor one for $50 and you go into the draw to win one of two $5,000 cash prizes, or you can just make a donation to the Run to Remember page as well. But I wanted to touch, Andrew, I know that as a dad, a local business and community member, you've really been engaged in community, and part of as your business, the Foot Group. How have you engaged community, and what does this Run to Remember mean to you personally?
Okay. Well, I remember the tsunami well. Had some friends over there at the time, and they were lucky that they were able to get to high ground. Um, but and I've thought a lot about the kids who lost parents and obviously are struggling. So I think it's amazing what Peter's doing. Um, I really commend him. I think it's amazing. I've done a lot of work with kids over the years, and I just love to see them doing their best and excelling in what they want to do, whatever it may be. But being a podiatrist, a lot of that is, the kids with heel pain, the kids with knee pain, and then that you'll find a way of helping them move better and move more efficiently, and their pain magically goes away. With obviously strength and conditioning and all of that in, and then you get the other family member, you get the mum will then refer the dad. So he does it. It's all the kid's fault that, the feet are doing what they're doing because of the dad. And then eventually the mum comes in and then the grandparents come in. So it's a whole thing, my passion is kids and movement. But we treat everyone here at the Foot Group, and it's all about keeping people moving and, keeping people healthy.
Absolutely. And you've been really passionate, I know, in the local community in regards to community run events and providing that support and bringing community and engagement together. And I think that aligns beautifully with what we're trying to do for the kids of Hands and giving them that life of choice in their futures. So whatever we can do to bring awareness to the kids in Thailand is very much appreciated from your perspective. So I'd like to say thank you for your time today, Andrew. But how can we reach you? How do we find the Foot Group?
Okay, we've got two clinics in Sydney. The first clinic we started in 2000, so that's not that long ago, is it?
Not for
Um,
me.
so we're in Lane Cove. Our other clinic we started in 2010 is in Brookvale, and I think Maddie Abel is based out of Brookvale too. Um, so we're Lane Cove on the lower North Shore and Northern Beaches up at Brookvale, and you can find us at thefootgroup.com.au.
Fantastic. Well, thank you so much for your time today, Andrew, and all your tips and tricks. And we really appreciate it. And we'll see you at the finish line.
No, fantastic, Amanda. Thank you for your time and good luck to Peter on the run.
Thanks, Andrew.
Bye.